I would like to think that it will be a manager who will continue to try and develop the style of play that Stephen, tried to implement. You can argue whether he implemented successfully or unsuccessfully. But I would hate to see us go from, the direction we've started to take over the last few years back to the style of play that we were trying to use previously. So, look, the FAI probably aren't in a position to sit down with managers and dictate the style of play and force a manager to go with, but they are the people who choose who they're going to put into the position. So I would like to think that is a serious factor in how they're going to go about it. Look, whether we want somebody who we think is going to give us the best chance of short-term success or the best chance of long-term success, I think that's a bit fanciful thinking, because we can't be guaranteed either way. So I think it's pointless to say, put Sam Allardyce in there because he'll get a bounce out of them automatically. Like, you don't know what you're going to get either way. The Lee Carsey one is consistently the one that makes the most sense. He is exactly as you described. He has the potential to be the up and coming bright young thing, and I think that is probably the description, the personality description that we should be looking for. I wouldn't be going for a tried and tested but maybe past their best. I think I would be taking a little bit more of a gamble on somebody who, and it is because there's such a lack of options out there.
Yeah.
It's almost like everybody is agreeing that Lee Carsley is the best fit. Nobody can say that Lee Carsley wouldn't be a massive gamble. Of course,
but everyone's a gamble. I mean, they don't have
Ireland is a gamble here for a manager. This is why I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was just going to say to Gavin, obviously you were at the AGM, and Jonathan Hill's going to reference that thing. He obviously wants it by February, and they've spoken to the people who. So they've obviously made that initial contact.
Yeah.
I've tried to find this out, and I honestly don't know. I do not know if Lee Carsley wants the job.
Yeah.
I've tried to find out. Well, where is he thinking at? Where is he at in terms of, because he's within a structure that seems like you can see the pathway for him where he could end up being, not even just if it's going to be the senior England job, but he's involved with England whether or not it's a club in England.
Yeah, my impression of the Carsley thing is that anything you hear back, and you probably heard similar, is that he would love to be Ireland manager someday, whether he wants to be the next Ireland manager, and that's obviously the problem. Part of me thinks that if Carsley had indicated to someone in last June after Ireland lost in Athens, he'd be the manager now. If he was ready to go the day after he won those England Euros, I actually think he would be the Ireland manager now. I think they would have got rid of Stephen Kenny back then. I get the sense, obviously he's at the FA, I don't think he's a contender to replace Gareth Southgate. I actually don't think he's going to be anywhere near that list. Apparently, so I could be wrong, but that's my
I'd say you're right there.
impression from talking to people, that he's not going to be a contender there. So that means his option, do you go to club football? He could land in the Championship easily enough based off his track record of what he did with England, and that age profile of manager doesn't really go to international football very often. Now maybe you're seeing it change slightly. It's like Julian Nagelsmann between jobs said, okay, I'll take Germany for the Euros. So maybe it's even Luis Enrique working with Spain and stuff. Maybe it's changed slightly. He's since gone on to PSG, so that does show you can go to international management and then go back to elite club management.
It shows you can go from very high standard international football back to elite club.
But would he be going after Ireland? Would he be going necessarily to a much lower level than you'd be going out after the England under 21s? I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
He's not going to get hired for Premier League jobs, so then you're looking at Championship, and John Eustace left the Ireland staff to take a Championship job. So I actually think that. I mean, I think it's kind of credible. I don't know whether he's the FA say they don't have a preferred candidate. But also, look at Carsley, if you want to be Ireland manager, why not now? Okay, in one sense, the team is at a low end. The FIFA ranking is low. It's going to get lower.
It's dropped to 60th.
Yeah.
But that could be his out.
Yeah.
He could come and say, well, I'm going to give this a go and back myself. And if it doesn't work well, he could still go down to Troyden Trust. This is the worst group of Irish players that I've been around with. I've tried my best.
And look, there's obvious talent in the group. You've worked with Ferguson, Cooney, the centre halves. There's two big problems with the squad. One is the lack of midfielders. The midfield is a disaster zone, really. And the second is a lack of leadership. When Coleman steps away, you're really worried as to who's going to be the real leader in that squad. That's a big problem. And Carsley's quite a young manager as well. I don't know whether that'll be an issue as regards all that. So But also, you know, you're not gonna. It'll be the FA are gonna give him a 4-year contract. Like it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be like Staunton, you know, or like Kerr. Like he'll get 2 full qualification campaigns. Ireland won't qualify for the World Cup because they're not good enough, and no one expects them to. Like the FAI don't expect them to qualify for the World Cup. And then the Euros, your co-hosts.
You think the public still do okay?
Nah, only the more deluded ones. No one thinks we can. Like,
And that's
But hold on, everybody expected us to beat Greece, and I couldn't understand how anybody ever expected us to beat Greece.
Yeah, I know, but like,
but you know what the thing is with
that's different though. Like, they were 4th season in the group, we were 3rd, and I know you kind of done your work and you looked at them and you're actually, these are really good, and okay, like people in the know like yourself will say, okay, we won't beat Greece, but like based off the, like take what, like an easy look at the basic numbers. Ireland 30s, Greece 4th seeds, we should be not losing to them home and away. I think that's a fair thing. And like Ireland 68th in the world, and what is it? I think 16 European teams going to the next World Cup. We're not, like, having not been at the previous 2 Euros, no one actually thinks we're good enough to do that, you know? And then the Euros, we're co-hosting the Euros, so we'll surely be playing at that, you know? We'll do the qualifying campaign, we'll probably have a safety net in the Nations League, and then we'll actually have our own bespoke second safety net as co-host. So it's very unlikely that we miss out on that tournament. And then, you know, that's the gig, you know?
It almost strikes you then that, this is what I'm saying, like, for an up-and-coming coach then, it's a very safe job to go into in terms of you have job security for a bit. That's why, and I'm looking at in terms of the profile, you mentioned, say, Chris Coleman, do you then go for a manager? And like, let's be honest, there's no point in reflecting too much on the Stephen Kenny area. We did that, and we've almost been like dissecting everything about it while it was happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like a live disembowelment at home. It was like, so I wonder, I know I threw this out, but like, does the manager come in and it's like, do you go for an international manager who is proven to have success and will come in, like, you know, not proven, that's going to be difficult, but what I mean is it proven at international management where like they've done the job and they understand the kind of the different maybe intricacies of it and how it's different, or do you just
I think the problem there is, I think...
Because now you mentioned Chris Coleman, I'm not totally against that.
No, neither am I. I like it.
I don't know, I'm saying that now just purely on the basis that he's a fella who's done something with an international team who will be on the par of Ireland, even though we had a Gareth Bale. I know obviously we have Lord and Saviour, but do you know what I mean? But it kind of strikes me that is there someone like that, or that kind of profile of someone who has a bit of experience? I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I would like them to steer clear of is, like, almost, there's probably a better way of putting it, but we don't want somebody who's like doing us a favour by taking the job.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Or the manager who says, I'm at the right stage where, you know, I've done club management. Like that thing with X in my head, Joe, I'm at the right age now. It's like managers like when O'Neill used to say about Grealish or Rice, well, come and play for us because you won't get 20 caps for England.
Yeah.
So you're telling a player you're not good enough to reach a certain level. You should be saying the opposite. Like that always trying. I'm going on a random here, but like the likes of that thing, it should have been like, listen, I know you're good enough to be able to kick on in your career and play for England. We know you are, but we want you. We look here, like, do it for us.
But
whereas it seems to be the opposite.
But that also needs to apply to the manager,
yeah,
not just the player. Like,
yeah.
This needs to, I think, similarities, I suppose, in terms of Stephen's appointment. In that, I do think it needs to be a manager who sees this as, I'm going to do everything. I have to get this right. This has to be a big kind of tick on my copybook by the end of it, and they're absolutely obsessed. Not rather than, you know, if my fear would be if Chris Coleman came in, he mightn't be the worst shot in the world, but I suppose what I'd be thinking is, we don't really want a manager who, if he comes in, well, in 2 years' time, if he leaves, he's able to say, well, sure, it was Ireland, they were crap, and he's just guaranteed to pick up another job anyway. We need somebody who, they desperately need this to work out for them. They really, really want this to work out for them to enhance their reputation and kind of increase the options that they'd have after it. Again, who they are, like, sure, looks pie in the sky. I wouldn't think in the position he's in at the moment, you're not going to get anywhere near him. But I would love to have thought that they might have inquired around Anthony Barry and seen whether that was a possibility. Because I think there is the potential that in 5 years' time, we're talking about Anthony Barry managing an elite Premier League team.
Right.
I think that capability is there. If we could get on that train before that train kind of reaches its destination, it would be outstanding. But look, he's got not one, but two terrific jobs at the moment, I think. So I don't think we're going to be able to pull that one off, you know.
When you're saying there about, let's say that, type of person and the personality, but also of what they've done. Just the name just so obvious, like Damien Duff.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It always feels like the same thing, and it's the same thing I've applied to Keane and another couple of Robbie Keane. I mean, that is, you always feel like, well, they'll be the next Ireland manager after this Ireland manager. And obviously with Duff, it's kind of awkward given he's become a kind of a Helen of Troy figure at Chelsea, where they've gone to war.
He's literally been
taken over the kingdom for him.